So good to see everybody. It's been a while. All right, I'm going to give another minute or so for people to join, but it looks like a lot of us are here already, so that's exciting. All right, well, you're all joining. If you want to do your introductions in the chat. As always, I want to be respectful of people's time, and I think that'll help move things along. So if you can put your name, your organization, and your role in the chat so people know who else is here, that would be great, and we'll go ahead and get started. If there are two people, I know Danielle, you and Wendy are together there. If you want to just put both of you in, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to get started with the update from the state's attorney's office end of things. First and foremost, you'll probably notice I'm in a different location. We got moved to the multi-purpose building after the holidays as the state's attorney's office was running out of room. So if you're looking for us in a physical location, you'll find us at the multi-purpose building going forward, at least for a little while. So that is that. And then there are two additional people here from the pre-arrest diversion team who have joined us since our last meeting. So I'd like to introduce Jennifer Peacock. She is our community engagement coordinator. Some of you have probably already met her through different meetings. I'll let her introduce herself really quickly if she wants.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jen Peacock.
And we also have Tatum Butler-Hill, and she is our case manager with the sheriff's office. And both of them were hired under the CLEP-D grant that we got from the state of Illinois. Tatum, did you want to do a quick introduction?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Tatum Butler-Hill. And like she said, I am the case manager here for the pre-arrest diversion for the Kane County.
All right, so that's our big news here. Following that, our next biggest news is that we were awarded the COSAP grant. So that's the $1.2 million grant for comprehensive opioids, stimulant and substance abuse program. That's a federal grant. It covers 3 years. It'll allow us to hire a couple additional case managers and potentially another administrative role. We're looking into making that a case manager supervisor, as we'll be having around about 5 to 6 case managers soon. So we'd like to make sure we keep things moving smoothly with them and with the initiative. And it would help to have somebody just specifically overseeing their work. So that's something we're looking at as well. We are in the process of accepting that and figuring out all the terms of that and what's involved in receiving those funds, but we should be starting hiring soon for those positions. So yeah, we're really excited about that. Other than that, we are now currently standing at about 4 participants. I say about because we have a few, we have 3 that are pending signing an agreement. So that would bump us up to 7 participants total. 3 of those are through the Elgin Police Department. 1 currently active is through the sheriff's office, and then the 3 that are pending agreements are all through the sheriff's office. So it's good to see more participants rolling in. A majority of those are coming to us through social contact referral. So they're not coming at the point of arrest. Only 1 so far has been at the point of arrest, which was kind of the aim of this, although the more meetings that I've attended with other pre-arrest diversion sites around the country, the more I'm hearing that the most successful sites end up getting a majority of their participants through social contact referral. And the way that works is it's individuals that law enforcement has seen over and over again come through the system. They know that things aren't getting better and they just need more support. And their issues that they're dealing with are related to mental health, untreated substance use, or poverty, homelessness. So the law enforcement or potentially other organizations. So we are talking with probation officers, other folks that are coming into contact with these individuals and letting them know, if they think that person's a good fit, we'll still run it past our law enforcement and past the prosecutors as well. So we're setting up a path for that, a process in collaboration with the prosecutors and the public defenders to admit people to pre-arrest diversion services, even if they've been arrested or as a social contact referral. So we're working on that, hoping to be able to help more individuals that way. And then we did just submit our first quarter report for the CLEP-D grant, which was the state grant. We didn't have a whole lot of information to share with them on that first quarter. It was only 2 months long because the term of the grant is only 8 months. And we're just getting started. And that grant only applies to our implementation with the sheriff's office. So not a whole lot going on there yet. We're trying to increase that. And Raul Salinas and Jen will update us a bit more on how that's going. And then other than that, we're just working on finalizing the policy for working with the sheriff's office. So we're currently in a soft rollout with them. Once we finalize the policy and have all of that in place, we'll really hit the ground running. That's really about all I have in terms of updates. So I will pass it off to, do we have anyone from, I think Sergeant Morgano is on here. There's a long list of people. I don't see him. Is there anyone from Elgin Police Department? If not, it looks like something may have come up. So I will go ahead and fill us in a little bit on that. So with the Elgin Police Department, things are still running pretty slowly there. We've had a couple more social contact referrals that we have made contact with. Those are going well. The cases that we're working with on the whole, things are going pretty well. But we're hoping to pick up more referrals soon there. I know they were working on some retraining, reaching back out. There were some maybe communication issues going on with the night shifts, especially not getting referrals, but we caught a couple that slipped through overnight. So we're thinking about ways to reach out to them and help establish a relationship. One thing that we have learned from other sites is that having our staff actually go and attend roll call, meet with the officers, helps to build that rapport and relationship where they can then trust who they're referring these people to. And so in spite of COVID, we're trying to work with that as best as we can. And then I will hand it over to Officer or Deputy Salinas, if you want to give us an update from the Sheriff's Office.
Martha, Jen, and Tatum and myself, we did meet with the midnight shift to kind of get that face-to-face meeting with them and get the word out there on the program and letting them know that it's up and running. Just today, I sent out an email. I basically stole Sergeant Regano's training bulletin that he had and why reinvent the wheel, right? It was a very well put bulletin that he had on the program. So with the okay of the sheriff, I finally sent that out today to everybody, not just midnight shift, but everybody's aware of the program. So the word is out there. Hopefully we could also meet face-to-face with day shift and afternoon shift to kind of let them know, kind of a Q&A. If they have any questions they could ask, I let them know to reach out to me or anybody on the team if they have any questions. But it's out there. I'm excited about it. Hopefully we can get some participants signed up.
All right, thank you. And then Jen Peacock's going to give an update from community engagement. We did get some funds through the CLEP-D grant to do some marketing. So we've been doing marketing on top of other community engagement. So she's going to be updating everybody on that.
Okay, so bus shelter ads, we believe will go up today or yesterday if they haven't already. And we have 3 of those, I believe. We also received our new brochures and our new cards so that officers can enroll people from these business-sized cards that have the QR code on them. So I need to get those over to you, Sergeant Salinas. I'll bring those over to you. I also, this week, I met with pretrial and court services as well as the Elgin probation office this morning. Let them know in terms of that pre-arrest diversion is happening, as well as that trying to come up with a game plan as they may encounter people on probation as well as in pre-arrest diversion, and kind of giving them the heads up about that. As Sergeant Salina has said, we did attend roll call. So my goal is to continue those. I think that was really good. We'd also like to do some ride-alongs. We know with COVID, though, that's kind of on hold a little bit. So, but I'll continue bugging both offices about those. As we'd like to continue those communications and building the rapport with all the officers. My other goal is to build more social media over the next few months as well, social media posts. And I need to establish a Kane County Sheriff's Office community leadership team. So that's also on my to-do list and my goals for the next few months.
I noticed that Sergeant Regano did pop on here, so I'm going to let him I gave a really brief update, Sergeant Regano. So if you want to fill us in more on how things are going with Elgin, that would be great.
All right. Yeah, sorry. It's a whirlwind whenever I'm here because I'm working 1 day a week. So until mid-February. So it's been slow going, but it has picked up. And so I kind of anticipated that would probably be the case. We are working on a way to start catching some of the ones that maybe aren't. There's two things we're noticing. There's some cases where, which is I would actually call this a good problem, but there's some cases where officers could have arrested somebody and they notice, and they're actually writing it right in the report. It's not like they're, kind of just being lazy. They'll put in the report that while this person committed this particular crime, that it's clear that they're in a state of a mental crisis, and so they weren't charged, which is fine, but that also leaves off the back end case management, which is going to actually stabilize the person. So there's kind of two mechanisms that I'm working on now to increase involvement with referrals. And one of them is officers understanding that they can still refer that, even if they choose to let them go right there on the street, they should still refer that to pre-arrest diversion, because not so that we can hold something over their head, but so we can get them into case management to create some stability. Because if you just let them go, even if they take them to the hospital, that emergency psychiatric care is not case management. And so they're going to, destabilize again. And so that's part of it, is that we want to be able to catch some of those that are being let go on officer discretion, which is great that they're not charging them, but it's also not great because they're not getting the case management side of it to get the assistance that they want. And it's different than getting help through the court system, obviously. Not to reiterate what pre-arrest diversion is, but they're not getting it through the court system. It's getting it through a harm reduction model. It's a very different look. So it's a unique way of creating stability in somebody. So that's one of the mechanisms that we're going to try to look at when I'm back full-time starting February 21st. And for those on here, I'm not like sick or anything. It was for the birth of my daughter. So I'll be back February 21st full-time. And so that's one of the mechanisms. The other mechanism is instances where charges are being brought where with no referral. It's not mandatory they refer to pre-arrest diversion, but there are certain charges where they probably should be looking at pre-arrest diversion, and maybe they aren't for a variety of reasons. And usually that reason that I'm seeing so far is it's a newer officer who maybe has aspirations of, showing their worth. And so some of that comes down to the continual training of them understanding that, helping people is the primary goal, not punishing people. And so some of that stuff, new officers are going to want to go out and make arrests and be proactive. And so how do we harness that into, yes, there are some times where maybe you are going to make that arrest. And maybe sometimes you should be making that referral. And so getting a hold of some of the newer officers who are, showing that drive to make the arrest instead of help, maybe help them in a more unique way. So those are kind of the two ways that I'm looking right now to kind of spark more involvement. But we really have seen an uptick, and it's not hard to go see an uptick when you're at zero. So, you start from zero and you kind of work your way up. And we've seen more referrals lately, including a couple from patrol as well. And so we're happy with that. I would say at this point, we've met my minimally acceptable goal. And now we're pushing to make it a more sustainable, achievable thing that we're going to do. So that's kind of it in a nutshell for me.
And I will add as well, in terms of anybody who's following along with our successes and the goals that we're seeking to meet. One of the stated goals of the LEAD model is to address racial disparities in the criminal justice system. So what we have noticed, unfortunately, so far is that we're not hitting that target yet. And obviously our numbers are low, so it's hard to really make that comparison. But with 4 participants, we have 3 white individuals and 1 Hispanic individual so far. So some of that we're chalking up to the safe referrals being made, what law enforcement might be seeing as a safe referral, someone they think is more likely to succeed. Bias might be showing, but it is something that we are keenly aware of and keeping track of in terms of our data, and hoping to see a shift in that as we do pick up more participants. And I know that people care about that and want to hear about that. So just want to make sure that we're being fully transparent. All right. Does anybody have any questions at this point? I want to make sure we don't go too far without answering questions.
Do you have an idea or plan, timeline in which you're looking to move to other PDs, or are we, where are you at?
Yes, so we actually had been scheduled to meet with the mayor of Aurora and Chief Cross in Aurora last week. Unfortunately, our meeting was scheduled for the same day that they had an officer pass away. So that meeting was canceled due to the emergency they were dealing with. So we're looking to reschedule that, but they are open to the conversation, and we're hoping to move that along. We're also looking at applying for the R3 grant to be able to implement with Aurora, because even with the COSAP grant giving us a couple additional case managers, the population of Aurora is so much bigger. We don't want to bank on being able to case manage for them on the funds that we currently have. So we are looking to apply for the R3 grant through the state for that as well. In terms of other locations, St. Charles had reached out to us about doing a test case with them. We were going to do that, and then that individual actually relocated to Chicago. So that never happened. That was going to be kind of our intro to seeing if they wanted to move forward with us. I believe that they are willing. So that would be the next municipality that we would be meeting with. But we do want to make sure that things are running fairly smoothly in the locations that we've established with already before we move too much farther forward.
Let me know if I can be of assistance in the Aurora area with our site team.
Yeah, that would be great. Absolutely. Anyone else have questions before we move on?
Martha, Ecker Center here.
Yeah.
Just a question operationally, I guess. I'm wondering if it's helpful or not helpful, if there's is training needs that exist within like Elgin Police Department. It's just occurring to me like, we're an agency that certainly calls for some support periodically from the police department in our lobby, or on our grounds. And I mean, would it be helpful during those situations because we see that happen where there's a decision made not to arrest somebody? Would it be helpful for us to on the side, say like, hey, is this a potential lead candidate? Like, is that helpful or no?
I think it wouldn't hurt. I I mean, I don't see any way that that would hurt. I think it still ends up being the discretion of the officer at
Yeah,
that time. So if, you know, if your staff wants to say something about that, I don't think the reminder hurts at all. But I think it still needs to be the officer's discretion. And then like Sergeant Morgana was saying, and he'll jump in here, it'll come back to a conversation he's going to have.
yeah, I guess I also don't want to make something confusing when, you know, you're already in the midst of handling a crisis. But I
Yeah.
just trying to think about how we might be able to help put that on the radar.
Yeah, you know, it was something that we highly encouraged people and still do, you know, if they call the police and it's mental health related, to say, you know, can you make sure I get a CIT officer? Please send a CIT officer. And you know, we encourage people to do that, and it does help because it helps remind stuff. If you say lead, though, the officers are not going to have a clue what that is. So
Okay.
you want the lingo that you'd want to use, or the terminology would be pre-arrest diversion. And, you know, if you were to say something, especially like as a counselor or, you know, whatever, if you say, hey, I think this, you know, they might do really well with pre-arrest diversion, that might be something that would be helpful. Yeah, I would say it wouldn't hurt by any stretch. But again, you know, there are some officers who just are going to make up their mind the way they're going to make it up. You know, sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not. You could always, you know, call me if there were a call like that, and those reports all get funneled through me anyway. If they write a report, sometimes they don't, and they're supposed to, but all those calls usually come through me anyway. And so if you were to call me and say, hey, we had somebody here that ended up, you know, they were in crisis, they got taken up to the hospital, and they broke a sign, and the officer, you know, whatever, you could call me and I could catch it, you know, as kind of through there, even if the officer didn't make the referral.
Okay, we'd probably prefer that than trying to, you know, hint during a crisis, but that's very helpful.
And part of our intent with a lot of the marketing and the community engagement is to build awareness within the community. So if there are family members or other community members who know of somebody who should have been offered, could have been offered, or would benefit from this, that they would know that they can reach out to us and let us know about, you know, this individual. And that would give us that opening to reach out to our law enforcement partners, say, hey, what do you know about this person? Do you agree that they're a good fit? And then make that a social contact referral. So I think it'll help too, once law enforcement understands, you know, there's community awareness that this is an option that should be offered to these individuals. So that'll hopefully build some of the positive pressure, we'll call it, to get this really picking up in people's minds and make it more of a norm. And then I do see we had Danielle and Corey on here. So I did want to touch base. I think one of the biggest things that we need to work on making sure that we establish at this point or in the very near future is the purpose of the PCG. I know we've kind of been relying on the original layout given to us from the lead model for how the PCG operates, with the understanding that we were already set up differently because you guys aren't the ones that came together and said we want pre-arrest diversion in our county. It was somebody from county leadership who reached out to you saying, can you participate in this? So we already established in a different way, and we can make this policy coordinating group what we want it to be, what you all want it to be. So I know we had the bylaw committee form at the last meeting. Things I know for everybody have been a little bit crazy in the last couple months. I'm not sure how far they got. I'm going to give them a chance to give an update here in a second. But I think the biggest decision that needs to be made is if this group is going to function more as a casual advisory body or in a formal decision-making board mode. So I think that's what the bylaw committee was looking at. I'll give them a chance to give an update, and then maybe we have some more input from more members. So Corey or Danielle, not sure if you guys want to give a little update on where you're at.
Yeah, Martha, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I think the last communication I received on this was last Monday. I think you sent out an email asking where we were. And the short answer is that not very far. I think we went back and forth for a little while trying to figure out a date, and then it was kind of radio silence for a while. But I think, again, I think a lot of that had to do with the holidays. Someone was out. I don't know if that was Danielle or Stacy that was out, but the three of us could not figure out a date. So now that we are having our first PCG meeting back here, that we're all here, hopefully we can get that scheduled here in the next couple of days, I'm hoping. So for Stacy and Danielle, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reply to Martha's last email inquiring in which she inquired what our status is, and let's see if we can set up something for later on this week or early next week.
I'm not sure, you may have missed, I sent out an email, I believe Thursday of last week, to try and get something set up for hopefully this week or next week, but I'll respond to your email that you should send out.
Okay, is that Danielle?
Yes, Danielle.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'll look for that and then I'll take it from there then.
All right, perfect.
Thank you.
I was just going to quickly mention the Elgin Human Service Council just recently, our little committee just finished meeting and we had just put together bylaws, and maybe that would be helpful if you don't already have them, to forward to you, that there's probably pieces or components of that you'd be able to use as well. And just copying and pasting is much easier than rewriting it all. So
Absolutely, that's very helpful. Thanks, Bernie. All right, so thank you, Corey and Danielle, and completely understand that things have been really nutty for everybody for the last couple months. So just keep us in the loop. And if anybody that's on here has any thoughts on how this body will function in terms of oversight or advisory functions, go ahead and send me an email and I'll share that with them as they're writing that up. And once they get that drafted, I assume since we won't meet for another 3 months, we'll probably send the draft out to the group at large for feedback and try to get moving on it that way. All right. So any other questions, concerns, feedback on how things are going, the direction we're headed? Anybody have any insights or anything? Everyone have a case of the Januaries? Understandable. Well, I really appreciate all of you taking the time today. I know everyone's incredibly busy. This is really important to us, and I'm glad that you're prioritizing it as well. And we appreciate all of your support. So our next meeting will be April 19th at 1:30. I did send out the invite. I think should have had all the future dates, at least for a while. So keep that on our calendars and we'll stay in touch in between.
I do have one question.
Sure.
Claire Dobbins. So I'm Susan Stefanski. I'm with the VNA. I'm a Suboxone prescriber, and Claire asked me to kind of sit in on your meetings. So if you could add my email to your invitations, I'm going to kind of take over for, presenting the VNA and take over for Claire.
Okay. And Kim, is that similar for you? Were you not on the email? Okay. I will save the list of attendees today and make sure that you all are on the email.
And tell Claire I said hello. I've known Claire for quite a while, so she's always very interested in this type of stuff.
Always interested. Well, she's now making me interested.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you all and have a great day.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.